Eloheinu, Nazkir, Nimaparu, Benapalo, Benachnu, Tamnu, Benisaidad. We are still standing strong. Adonai Shamel Chalid Vim Karenu. There's an expression in English, hoisted by a person's own petard. What does that mean? It's not Tanya. It's a principle. When a person seeks to harm someone else, sometimes it backfires. And that which they planned to do against others comes back upon them. What, like they say in English and American, what comes around goes around. So that what Haman wanted to do to Mordecai ended up happening to him. You read the Megillah, it says that Haman it was his wife's idea to make a gallows 50 amas high. 50 amas is 75 feet high. Why did he need such a big pole? 75 feet. How could they even get up there with ladders upon ladders? Why did he want to hang Mordecai so high? Why wouldn't it be just enough to hang him from any elevated place? Like they did to Saddam Hussein. They just hung him. That's all. You know, after the Gulf War, you were all little girls probably then. The Rebbe said, I heard the Rebbe say it. He's hiding. He must be hiding. He ran away. He must be hiding somewhere. And Taka, they found him in a ditch, in a hole, on someone's farm. And he went unrepentant to the gallows, and they hung him. But why did Zeresh want the gallows 50 amas high? The obvious reason is out of pride that revenge. They hated Mordecai because he would not knuckle down, he would not bow down before the idol that Ammon wore around his neck. So they're going to show him, and they're going to show everybody that they won. That's obvious reason, right? But there was more to it. They were, I don't know if they were sorcerers, but they certainly knew the inside story. Just like there are 49 days between Pesach and Shavuos, days of purification and elevation when we work our way up from having been slaves in Egypt on the lowest possible level, worshiping idols, to the highest level to receive the Torah from Hashem himself. On the 50th day, so the 50th represents, after 49 days, 7 days of 7 weeks. 49 days between Pesach and Shavuos, we get to this exalted level of Shavuos, which is the level of the unity of God. And on this level, it's so high that, like we say on Purim, we want to get to the level where Mordechai is the same as cursed be Haman. How can they be the same? Well, the numbers tell the story. Because the gematria of Mordechai is the same as Aror Haman. So they're both the same. Because everything is from Hashem. And if things happen in an obviously good way, that's good. And if things happen not in an obviously good way, it's still from Hashem. So that Mordechai came to arouse and awaken the spark of Yiddishkeit in the heart of the whole generation. And he did it by learning with children and fasting and praying. And Haman came and threatened to exterminate every single Jew. And that also caused him to return to the Eibishter. so that they fasted and they prayed out of love of Mordechai and respect for Esther, and out of fear of Haman. They both have the same effect. So that Adar, Haman, and Baruch Mordechai both brought about the same thing, which was the tshuva of the Jewish people. And as a result of that, that ended the Golus. That was the end of the second Golus. And Esther's son, the Jewish was Jewish. He became the king. The Jewish people were allowed to return to Eretz Yisrael and to rebuild the Beis Hamikdash. So that was the Geulah. And who made it happen? Haman and Mordechai together. They both did. So this level is so high that good and evil blend, because on this level of godliness, there's no distinctions. Like we've learned about this. The two levels they're called. One level is called the way God fills all worlds with life, and that's full of divisions and levels, so that every creation gets the life that it needs to survive, that animates it, and each creature has its own wisdom and its own life cycle and its own qualities. And that comes from the level of life that's called Mamale Ko'almin, that Hashem fills everything in the world with life. The trees get their life, and the animals get their life, and the vegetables get their life, and the birds get their life, each one exactly right for itself, and not for anything else. It's absolutely mind-boggling. It's unbelievable. Just thinking about all the life and everything that makes a person a God-fearing person, fills a person with awe. But there's a higher level than that, which is symbolized perhaps by the circle. It doesn't have a top, it doesn't have a bottom. Here, from the lower level, from the lower view, everything has a level. The lowest level is life in this world, the world of action. Higher than that is the forms, the inner life, the shape of things. And higher than that is a higher level of life that is the shaping force in the world of creation. And then there's the world of Atzilus, which is unification with God. So each world has a greater revelation of godliness, and the vessels for that world are more sensitive to accept this level of godliness. But higher than all of them is a circle. There's no top, there's no bottom, there's no right, there's no left, there's no up, there's no down. It's all just godly life. And that's represented by the 50th level. So Zeresh's idea was that to build a gallows to symbolize the level that they wanted to draw life from. So on that level, because they couldn't overcome the righteousness of Mordechai. No way. They were wicked and he was righteous. So how could they topple his power over them? If they would get to this level where good and bad cease to show any distinction, they would be able to have the upper hand. I think that's the idea. Why didn't it work? Because we learned that everything has a soul, an outer and an inner aspect to it. Just like Kesser, the crown, has two levels to it. The crown represents the will of God to create everything. But there's an inner level to the crown, which is, why does God want this? You say, why did Hashem make the world like this? Because he desired, we learned this. Why did Hashem make the world the way he did? Because he desired to have a dwelling place in the lower worlds. Right down here. But why? Okay, well, that's called Ratzoin. That's the will. The level of the will is higher than wisdom. Wisdom is the source of all of creation. Everything in creation gets its light from Chachma. Like King David writes, Kulam b'chachma asisa. You created everything, Hashem, with wisdom. Like we see, every creature has its own skill, its own wisdom, its own life cycle, its own natural capabilities that enable it to survive. But why did Hashem want that? And the answer to that is because of the nachas. The word nachas means a deep inner pleasure. What's a deep inner pleasure? We've illustrated this, the whole story of the cap on the toothpaste. Your roommate does not remember to put the cap on the toothpaste, and you ask her, please remember to put the cap on the toothpaste. And she keeps forgetting. Every time she forgets, you grind your teeth. You're upset. That's called agmas nefesh, aggravation. Interesting, aggravation, agmas nefesh, both start with the same letters. But when she does remember, you feel so happy. She finally remembered. Baruch Hashem. It all worked out. That's called nachas. So because of the nachas that Hashem has, that he asked that we should do mitzvahs to fulfill his ratzon, he has nachas. Just like we do. When someone does things the way you want it to be done, you feel nachas. And that's called panemius. And on the level of Hamishim, on the 50th level, Mordechai and Esther and the Jewish people were on this level of panemius ratzon, the innermost driving force within the will of Hashem. So even though the Zeresh and Haman, Yamach Shemam, got to the 50th level, and they wanted to personify it and symbolize it with this pole that was 50 amas high, Mordechai and Esther were holding by the inner level that gives life to this panemius symbolized by the pole of 50 amas high, and it turned out to be just right. And if you look in the Piyut, this amazing poem written by, say, I don't know which one of the sages of 800, 900 years ago, who wove together, which weaves together all the different themes of Purim. And it reveals there that Haman had 10 sons. Each one took up 3.5 amas, put them all together. And there's a room left at the top for Haman himself, 50 amas altogether. And the Medrash says there that they hung them up like fish on a string. Funny image. Like fish on, they want just Mordechai should be there. They all ended up on this same pole, hung up like fish on a string. All right, we are learning. We were in the middle of chapter 10, approaching the end. We learned about the tzaddik who is incomplete. He's a tzaddik, he's a righteous person. His actions are holy. His words are holy. His deeds are holy. He is a tzaddik. He's a righteous person. So what is the evil? Tzaddik baraloi. On page 156, a little bit of a review, is that there's still some, what did he say in English? Some vestige, some leftover of evil in his character, in his soul, but you don't see it. You'll never see it because it doesn't express itself. It can't express itself. It's in prison. It's totally out of action. But it's still there. So ra loy, meaning he still has ra, but also means he's in control of the ra. He's in possession of the ra. It's not an independent feature. It can't interfere with his thoughts when he davens or when he learns. It can't do anything. It's locked up. It's in the deepest kind of prison, but it's still there. It's called Tzaddik V'Ra'aloi. So it says it's minute. It's so minute that it's accounted like nothing. And so we learned that there are thousands of levels of this. It's not just that there's good tzaddikim who have good and tzaddikim who have bad. You're on this level, you're on that level. No. There's thousands of levels because we've got to take into account quality and quantity. The quality of the rock could depend on whether it's one of the four elements that we learned about. Is the problem there from the element of fire in his character, which we learned about that in chapter 1? Or is it the water, the element of water, pleasure seeking in his character? Or is it the element of speech that is in his character? He has to always control his speech, or the way he does things. That's a question of quality. And then there's quantity. Is it subdued in a quantity of, it's in a minority, it's just less than 50%? No. We're talking about 199 and 49.49%. It's the extra 0.11 or 1.5 or 1.6 of a percent that's still left in him, but he's overwhelmed. So he speaks here in terms of kosher levels of something imperfect in food could lose its identity if it's only one part out of 60 or one part out of 100 or one part out of 1,000 or even more. But hasn't been converted to good yet. What has been converted to good? It's like playing checkers. Anybody, you all know how to play checkers? You played checkers one time. That when you move, skip around, you get to the other end, you become a king. And then you can go either direction. Similarly in chess, if the pawn, the weakest of the pieces, gets to the end, it becomes a queen, can control the whole board. So it becomes converted to something much greater than itself. So similarly, the evil in our heart can be converted to become something totally good. Can we imagine such a thing? Well, it's something to hope for, something to aim for. The first step, remember, we learned, is not, don't try and climb Mount Everest at one shot. Just take care of the foothills. The foothills are, don't indulge. Don't let yourself indulge in anything that could be classified as improper. Just, so that's compared to cleaning the garments. You went out on a rainy day, your garments got splashed on, you have to take them to the cleaners and get the muddy stain off. So we have to get all the muddy stains off of our garments. Our garments are for what we think and what we say and what we do. All right? So this is the idea of the evil being nullified. It's very, very, I have to bring this garment into the cleaners, but it's really not very dirty. And we have to work at that to make sure that our garments are clean. Page 156, in the middle of the page. Therefore, he's called a tzaddik v'ra'aloi. He's a tzaddik who still retains some minute remnant of the opposite of righteousness in him, but it's his. It's subjugated to him. It's surrendered to him. It has no independence. Such a tzaddik seems and looks like good, completely good, because he is overwhelmingly good. That's wonderful. Okay, therefore, the bottom of page 156, since there's a little bit of negativity still remaining there, so we can't say that his love of Hashem is perfect. Because the fact that the negativity is still there, that means there's still some very tenuous connection in his heart with the things that were not perfectly good. So therefore, his love of Hashem is not perfect either. So that's another reason he's called Tzaddik She'enei Gomor, the Tzaddik who is not a complete Tzaddik. Because if he was a complete Tzaddik, then there would be nothing left over for the Yetzer Hara to take nurture from it. So therefore, he's called a tzaddik, who still retains some shade of evil, or a tzaddik who is not a complete tzaddik, because his love of God is not complete. Now, this level of the incomplete tzaddik, page 157, has thousands and thousands of levels, depending on, like we just said, the quality of the minute negativity that's still left in his character from one of the four elements of Klippa, which we also just described, and also the degree to which evil is nullified because of its minuteness, turning the page, 158, 1 part in 60, 1 part in 1,000, 1 part in 10,000, and so on. So this is the idea of how there could be so many tzaddikim, and yet there's only one Rebbe. There's only one Moshe Rabbeinu. Because Moshe Rabbeinu represents and is the embodiment of the complete tzaddik. And together with him in the generation, there may be other tzaddikim who derive their life through him. And that's what it says in the Talmud. 18,000 tzaddikim stand before Hashem the whole time. Maybe more. Maybe more. But the Gemara just uses that term of 18,000. And then it brings us a proof text. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the hero of Lag BaOmer, the great teacher of the inner aspect of the secrets of the Torah in the Zohar, he says about the complete tzaddik that he should be called a Ben Aliyah. He says, I've seen the Bnei Aliyah, the people on this level, they're called Bnei Aliyah, masters of Aliyah. He says, but there are very few of them. Remember, chapter 1, it quotes this in the very first chapter. And therefore, Hashem set them out since there are so few in every generation. Generation has to have at least one of these great tzaddikim. And we have ours. The Isa B'Zoyar, and this is mentioned in the introduction to the Zoyar. Kashuratza Rebbe Chia, La'alais Le'echel Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai. Rebbe Chia was a colleague of Rebbe Yehuda HaNasi. He's the descendant of King David 2,000 years ago, who put together the Mishnah. The Romans were in control of the Eretz Yisrael, and it was a very hard time for the Jewish people. Scholars were being executed right, left, and center. And Rebbe Chia is an outstanding personality of that time, close colleague of Rebbe Yehuda HaNasi, Rabbi Yehuda the Prince. And he wanted to experience an aliyah of his neshama to converse together with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And it says there in the introduction to the Zohar that when he wanted to do this, he heard a voice coming out and saying, page 159, anybody who wants to come here has to have converted darkness to light and transformed bitterness to sweetness. And if you can't do that, So keep working at it. You never know, maybe you'll make it. Don't give up. And the secret is simple. The secret is to do with happiness. I saw a video clip last week where several people, one after the other, were shown complaining about their troubles to the Rebbe. Some medical, some business, some personality problems. And the Rebbe answered every one of them the same, that if they will be completely doing everything with joy, they will overcome all of their problems. And the Rebbe says a soldier, when he goes to war, he doesn't know if he'll survive, but he is confident that Hashem is going with him and he will succeed. And therefore, he goes with a song. And that's how we have to be. And now the chapter concludes with something that's maybe difficult to understand. Now, we've learned so far what it means to serve Hashem for its own sake. Chapter 5, we learned that to serve Hashem, to learn Torah for its own sake, means to learn Hashem's Torah in order to be unified with God. A person wants, in other words, you might want to learn Torah, a person might want to learn Torah for some secondary motive. Maybe to succeed, maybe he knows it will bring me blessings, I'll be honored, I'll be a place of honor in the community, I'll be a teacher, I'll be a rav, I'll be a big businessman, I'll be honored at dinners, I'll sit at the head table, they'll listen to me, I'll be able to give a speech, and so on. These are all secondary motives. It doesn't work. If your goal in learning Torah is to get a good shidduch, or to be able to have a nice home, or to have wonderful children, that's not the goal. The goal is to learn Torah just for the sake of Hashem. What does it mean for the sake of Hashem? Like the person would say to you, could you do this for me? You don't really want to do it, but do it just for me. Do it just because I'm asking you. That means to do something for the sake of someone else. To learn Torah just for the sake of Hashem. Hashem wants us to do this. So that's my honor, that's my privilege. I'm happy to do it. So that's a level of meaning lishma. But there's a deeper level than that, which is not even doing it for any pleasure that we might have, not for the honor that we would have, the sense of pleasure of being able to do what Hashem wants from us, but just doing it, just doing it. This is what Hashem wants. Yes, sir. No, sir. 3 bags full, sir. Your wish is my command. I get no pleasure out of it. Maybe I don't even like it. But if this is what you want, this is what I do. My will becomes totally subservient to your will. Like it says in the ethics of the fathers, make his will to be your will. He will make the will of others to be like your will. Make his will to be your will. That's a deeper level of lishma, and he gives an example here. We're talking now about Bnei Aliyah, people who are so devoted to the service of Hashem, that their divine service, page 159, in the area of doing good and the fulfillment of mitzvahs, is only for the sake of Hashem. Their service is directed towards the most high level, the loftiest heights. Their divine service is not intended just to attach themselves to Hashem, because there's an element of selfishness in that. Yeah, he wants to do Torah and mitzvahs, because it makes him feel holy. No, there's no sense of satisfaction from this. The Rebbe Rashab writes a whole treatise on the simple servant, the person who keeps his serving Hashem with devotion just because it's Hashem, but not because he has any pleasure from it whatsoever. Merely to attach themselves to Hashem by serving him through Torah and mitzvahs. Okay, now it says here, to quench the thirst of their soul, which thirsts for God. That's an element of self-satisfaction. So that's one level. That's one level of serving lishma for the sake of Hashem. But the Rebbe wants to tell us about something more. Because if that's what you're serving, so then learn more Torah. Like it says, page 160, if a person is thirsty for godliness, so let him learn more Torah. Torah is compared to water. Let him quench. Is your soul thirsts for God? Learn more Torah. That's where you'll quench your thirst. Ukamesh and inspire. This is what the Baal Shem Tov saw in the burning bush. A generation of Jews that could not achieve this. They didn't have the knowledge. They didn't have the capacity. They thirsted for Hashem, but they couldn't learn Torah. And therefore, they were like thorny bushes. And they were on fire with love of God. And the fire did not go out because they couldn't drink the waters of Torah to calm down the fire. And when Moshe Rabbeinu saw the burning bush, it made him want to do tshuva. He said, if they who have no qualities, no advantages, have this fire for God burning in their heart, what should I be? I have all the advantages. And he felt inferior to the simple Jews in slavery in Egypt, symbolized by the burning bush. And the Baal Shem Tov updated that and said that stands for the Ami Haaretz of our generation, people who never got a chance to go to yeshiva, never got a chance to learn the subtleties of Torah, the finenesses of Torah, the fineness of Torah, and yet they know that they want to be connected to Hashem and they don't know how. They never learn and they didn't even know how to learn. And that's the tremendous level of the Baalei Tshuva of our generation. And the Rebbe, with his great love for the Jewish people, is bringing them all in. Like it says in the prophet, Echad le'echad, Tuluktu b'nei Yisrael, one by one, he's gathering us all in. Okay, the time is up now. We'll finish this last little bit tomorrow. Bezos Hashem, and move on. We'll start chapter 11. Bezos Hashem. If you didn't quite follow today, that's all right. Don't be upset or despondent. Review, think about it, talk to your friends about it. It's very, very high levels that the Alter Rebbe is taking us to. If there's any issues that you need to resolve, like a driver's license, green card, paperwork, and student visas, whatever, do it now. Wants a good time. I'm also very strong. Welcome, everybody. Yeah. That's great.